the trilogy, you know, you were saving the galaxy from the get-go. So, you know, if do you really feel like you got time to go and explore?
Right, no pressure.
No pressure.
Exactly.
It's just like
start saving the galaxy right now. Guys.
exactly. So in this one, the stakes are high. Obviously, humanity and the other species that go with you, their fate lies in your hands. But we all want it to also feel like, no, if I want to just drive over that little mountain over there and see what's on the other side, I shouldn't feel like that there's anything holding me back from doing that, right?
No, we have the gameplay up right now.
That's right.
So this is Scott Ryder.
This is Scott Ryder, of course, and just to sort of set this up a little bit, so we're about an hour and a half into the game at this point. You've already arrived. A lot of people probably already seen the intro. We did the video a little while ago, the first 15. And you've actually landed on the first planet that was supposed to be your home, and things didn't go so well. But since then, you've also arrived with the Nexus. You've met up with them, and they're sort of like our citadel. They're sort of, this is where all the arcs are supposed to meet up. And it's this beautiful, shining space station, except, well, you'll see when you play the game, maybe things didn't go quite the way they expected there either.
Nice.
So now they are in desperate need of you, a Pathfinder, to go and find them a home. And the place that we're going to go to today, after we explore the Tempest a little bit, it was a place that the Nexus, while they were waiting for you, they were like, well, we got to do something. We're going to die out here, so let's try to set up a home here, even without a Pathfinder. Let's go try to set up a home on a planet. Looks dangerous. And we're going to find out what happened on that planet today. So
nice.
Yeah.
Like, one thing I was going to say that I love about this is that, like, you know, the interface is, like, exactly like how the old games are. So you feel familiar, especially if you played all three.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite series, so I'm, like, super excited to see this. So, yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we wanted things to feel familiar when you know, even if you look at the lines of the Tempest, it's, you know, in the architecture inside, it feels like, you know, a spiritual successor to the Normandy, right?
Yeah,
so it feels familiar, but it also feels new, fresh. It's more sleek. It's not meant to be a military vessel. It's meant to be an exploration vessel. You know, and of course, the thing that our fans love most, characters. The Tempest is filled with all your squad mates and crewmates. And I don't know, Mike, maybe you want to, let's just go have a chat with one of them over here.
We'll talk to Subi over here.
Yeah, our science officer, Subi.
Ah, Pathfinder. It's so wonderful to meet you. I'm Dr. Suvi Anwar, assigned to act as liaison between your crew and the Nexus Science team.
Welcome to my team. I look forward to working
obviously, just touching on it briefly, the Paragon and Renegade choices are gone from Mass Effect now. Why the decision to go that route and just sort of branch out and give us a little bit more sort of exploring within conversation?
No, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, when we started Mass Effect, we were coming off of KOTOR, remember?
Yeah.
And that was very light side, dark side.
Yeah.
Renegade, Paragon worked very well in that sort of type of thinking. But the other thing was, I always felt that Renegade Paragon was something that was very much associated with Shepard, the character themselves, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so with Shepard's, you know, sort of ending their story, moving on to something different, you know, we wanted to try to get back to some of the RPG roots and that sort of sense of role-playing the character. I think one of the problems with, you know, Renegade Paragon, people loved it. But you always kind of knew what your choice was going into a conversation. If you were doing a Renegade play, that's up to the right, right? So a couple of things we introduced were tones that, you know, allowed you to have sort of professional, casual tones, or emotional and sort of more intelligent thinking tones. But then we also introduced sort of more of an agree-disagree for moments of choice, right? So that, you know, again, your choice to agree or disagree with someone would change based on the situation, or based on the person you're talking to, or whatever, right? So you could agree or disagree multiple times at you know, switch back and forth. It just keeps you a little bit more engaged, I think.
And is that going to drastically change the gameplay if I keep going back and forth with people all the time instead of just sticking with the course of positivity?
Yeah, no, what we wanted to do is, again, not make it so like you're trying to game the system and make it more like real life.
Sure.
Right? Where it's just like, you know, right now, this moment feels like I want to be a bit casual and I want to be a bit cocky or something like that.
That's
And maybe this one wants to be a bit more professional at this point. We do kind of track some of that stuff, but it's not so much to make it, to gamify it. It's just more so that you can see what your character's like.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yep.
So here we see a professional and casual choice here.
Yep.
So I'll take the casual choice.
That's a lot of pages about dirt.
Oh, you don't have to be kind. I know it's barely more than a summary.
You can see some of the lighter
Anyway,
tone there
have we
as
just
well.
once to get out there to see Helios? It's why I joined the initiative. The Milky Way was just a corner of a vast universe, a corner of a tiny corner. We're the ones who got to step out of that corner. It's incredible.
I guarded a mass relay for some time. I always wanted to see the other side.
I totally know what you mean.
So will you be joining us on missions?
Oh, that's funny. Me, out there, with the guns and the danger and everything.
And as much as we've been, people have commented on the lighter tone, you don't have to take that path. It's just a lot of people choose to take it because it's a lot of fun. You get to be a little bit more cocky or a little bit more whimsical if you want, sort of thing, right?
So here I could flirt with her if I wanted to, but to avoid some spoilers, we probably won't do that this time.
Okay.
Why should that be funny? You seem capable.
Oh, I'm flattered, but no. I have no combat experience. I'd shoot you in the back. Not intentionally, of course.
At least she's honest.
True.
Anyway, I've just received some instructions from the science team, and I really should go over them. Later, then.
So what do you think is going to give Ryder that edge that Shepard had, when people would sort of grasped onto that character and they wanted to continue his story?
Yep.
What is it going to be about Ryder that people are going to be like, yeah, I like the humanity within that character?
I think the primary thing was, and this was a big thing that we did to sort of set up the difference between Ryder and Shepard, is that, Shepard started, they were a hero already, right? And so the trilogy was like going from a hero to a legend, almost, right? This really is Ryder, Scott and Sarah's first big adventure. So they actually grow and change throughout the course of this. They start off a bit unsure. They're not natural born leaders. They have to earn that, right? So they actually get to see that progression as you go through it. And I think the nice thing about that is it aligns more with the player, because the player is new to the game. They're trying to figure everything out, and they also get better at everything as they go along. So I think just having that sort of tighter synergy, I think, is really going to help people sort of grab onto them a little bit more. But I think also the fact that, you can be a little bit lighter with them at times, for the people who want that. There's a bit more breadth of character in the Ryders than there was in Shepard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So like when you go to like the different areas, like say there was like a planet that you possibly went to before, like will you see like possibly things in the future, like from Shepard's world, kind of, with this game?
Sorry, I didn't catch what you meant by that.
Oh, like when you go to a different world, like say if you went in the original Mass Effects, like will you see like the path with Shepard, like in this game?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some acknowledgements of Shepard and stuff like that throughout the game.
Cool.
You have to kind of dig around and find them. We like to leave those in there for people to sort of explore and find.
Awesome, cool.
You'll actually notice. Well, we kind of skipped over it today, but one of the first things, if you go into the character customizer, one of the first options is was your Shepard male or female? Because of course we need to know if we're going to reference them, were they male or female? So
nice.
I mean, that was a little hint that that will be in there. I think one of the biggest additions, obviously, for us was, we've got this beautiful representation of the galaxy map, but space itself is really space. It is a level that we've created for here. So every time you go to a place, we actually see the transition from one planet to another planet, or to an asteroid, or to another system. And then, of course, when you arrive there, if you get out, you can see all of that outside of your window when you're traveling. So, to me, we wanted to create a more open, free experience. Dropping to a 2D UI every time you want to travel between places kind of takes you out of that sense of immersion. No, I'm in a giant space adventure, right?
So are we still going to have that random, I was going to say, there's going to be anomaly stuff, and like then it just popped up. So like, yeah, there you go.
Right there.
Look at that.
So I'm going to shoot a probe at that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
I found an asteroid.
The great thing about, again, I said it's about exploration. We wanted that one sort of theme, it permeates everything that we tried to do in Mass Effect Andromeda. So everything from space to the characters, the roles that you're playing, combat, all the gameplay. And so we really want you to feel like you're exploring space and discovering things here. So sometimes, if you find an asteroid, like Mike did, you're finding resources, and that'll help you along. But you can also find, key elements to a plot, or you can just find lore. We always know that people just love to learn about the new galaxy that they're in.
Sure. So when finding resources, how is that going to play out for my character? Why am I finding and discovering all these resources? Or why would I want to go seek them out?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really good question. I think I talked about exploration, but the other sort of tension that we wanted to put on that was a sense of survival, right? Not just for humanity in Andromeda, obviously that, but also just that, you didn't arrive in a place much like, in the trilogy you arrived, you were given a ship, you were part of an organization, there was all of these resources that you had at your disposal, and that was fantastic. But in this one, what we want to create is a sense of, no, there really isn't much out there until you allow it to be out there. So that means that, as you're looking for things, people aren't going to say, oh yeah, here's a whole bunch of resources for you. They'll be like, no, you want to build a new gun, you're going to have to go find the stuff to build a new gun, then find someone to build a gun for you, and then build a gun, right? Or do it yourself.
Okay.
Or
Cool,
do it yourself if you want to do the crafting, right? So to me, I think that's the driving force for it.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and land on Eos then. As I got to EOS first, I scanned it. There's a whole bunch of information that came up with EOS about the available minerals, the types of things, the viability relative to it.
It seems like a desert world with significant resources.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not just reading that off the text right there. I was just,
Yep.
loadouts.
Yep, and as soon as,
Oh,
as soon as you
nice.
go to land on a planet, of course, you bring up the loadouts, allow you to change your weapons, armor, bring consumables with you, and of course choose the squad that you're going to take down. And in the future, something else,
Okay.
which
Oh,
we'll find
all
out.
right.
We'll,
Something else.
we'll cover that during this
Yeah.
this very session, if we get far enough.
Hope we're all ready. Gallo. All right.
Integrating search area from Sam.
So I see some
Our pilot.
familiar races.
Yeah.
Yes, Solarian, our
Mm.
pilot.
Are you guys going to be maybe, I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler, are you guys going to be introducing any new races, or are we going to see some races that are familiar from the Mass Effect trilogy previously?
You mean today? But it's very.
Or just like
Or
in
in
general.
general? Yeah,
You're
I
going to see
mean-
some new things?
Yeah, we're definitely going to see some new things. We've already shown the Ket. We've seen little snippets of the Remnant. They're sort of like a robot race that's sort of been left behind, as you might have guessed, a Remnant. And they're actually guarding a lot of things here in the Milky Way that are important for you to discover.
And are there going to be sort of worlds to explore off the beaten path? Like, are there's going to be like, oh, I can come across a random planet on this galaxy that I was just searching for. Doesn't really play into the main story at all, but I can just explore a random planet.
We didn't come millions of light
We have a
years to
couple
die
of
in
we have a
this
couple of
place.
planets that are a little bit more optional
letting
than
the
others.
initiative
But what
down.
we try to do is always at least
Pathfinder,
touch
the
the
tempest
planets
checks
with
out.
the critical path, so
good.
you had a reason to go to them and at least experience them once.
Nice.
But a lot of times the critical path kind of, like I said, you're there for a little bit and then it can take you away, and then it's up to you. Well, do I want to stay and explore this planet, or do I want to, follow that main storyline and just see what happens there? And for the first time ever, we're also allowing you to continue exploring all of those planets after the critical story
Oh, okay,
actually ends.
cool.
So you don't have to do everything right up front. You can kind of be like, yeah, I just wanted to see the story, and I'll come back to this later. Although, there are some things that you could do along the critical path and in the exploration that would help you in the
Makes
final
sense.
moments of the critical
Yeah.
path. So
So if you want to just run and gun, gung-ho, like I'm going to get straight to the end,
Yep.
but if you explore more, different things might happen.
that's right, exactly. We want to
do
have
love
that. We
that,
want to have
like-
that sense of reactivity.
Yeah, I do love like the dialogue that's happening while going into the next like planet. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Set us down at this nav point.
One of the things we really wanted to sort of draw out, certainly for the first time you land on each world, was that sense of, okay, well the promise is exploration. You went to a new galaxy, and what would people be feeling? What would they be thinking when they do that? And again, this is something I feel that we at BioWare and the Mass Effect trilogy really focus on, which is using characters to sort of bring those moments out. It's beautiful visual effects and explosions, all that is fantastic. But I want to care about it, and I want to see other people and what they're reacting to and how they're dealing with the situations. Like, for instance, here, we've landed on EOS, we've talked over some of the dialogue, but this is a failed site. So people tried to make a new living here, and now we don't even know what happened to them, and it's up to you to go and discover what's going on in this abandoned site.
Plus, no Pathfinder.
Now, how safe the other guys are. Helmets.
That's what I was just about to say. No,
Yeah, that's right.
Don't need them.
Yeah.
Like, she can breathe this air.
Yeah, we should call out that is an option that you can set. You can actually have their helmets on all the time or off in conversations.
I was gonna say, Ryder's not taking any risks. He's like, you
Exactly.
know what?
That's right.
I'm gonna wear my helmet.
That's right. Hey man, that's how you get to be the Pathfinder. Don't breathe bad air. But yeah, so here's our map. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Mike.
Well, I mean, we just landed here.
Yep.
The size of the space is massive relative
Yeah.
to where we landed. So we've got a lot of exploring to do, a lot of adventuring to do.
Yep.
But first, we're trying to find out what happened to the settlement.
And one of the things we want to do consciously on most of the planets, we actually want you to land on foot, like really get that sense of feet on the ground before you race off and and get in your Nomad, which we actually haven't got here yet. But just because there's always you want that opportunity to discover what is this planet about. We can tell you what it is about, I guess, in a cutscene. But I'd rather you explore in this area,
Sure.
learn what's the story of this world, what's the story of the people that are on it, and then figure out which path you want to take. Because things after this opening area just open up. You can go wherever you want, right?
And there's, oh, look at that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like so free. It feels great.
Oh, the new locomotion honestly is one of the biggest advancements we've done.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yep. We have the boost, we have the jump, we have you can combine them together, and then you have the hover, which I love. You can hover while you're actually tight aiming, and as you get more skill with it, it's a lot of fun to play with those techniques. And it just allows you to get wherever you want, right? Like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that in the trilogy you'd be able to walk up those stairs, but everything else was pretty much off limits to you because there was no jump and no movement. But you can climb up on the roof if you want, leap over things. Basically,
The
just go
power of
wherever
the
you want.
Pathfinder.
Yeah.
The power of the
What's
Pathfinder.
up,
Exploring
Shepard?
stuff.
You couldn't jump,
That's right.
bro.
Yeah.
Step up your game.
That's right. It
Commander.
would be much of a Pathfinder if you had to just always follow one path, right?
Yeah.
This is a great little. It just flashed very quickly there, but I'll talk about is the search mechanic that we have. Again, in the sort of this sort of theme of exploration, we don't always want to point you directly to something. We'll actually point you in the general direction, and then all of a sudden you get this little search indicator that kind of tells you as you're getting closer. Kind of a hot-cold mechanic as you get near it. Several of the plots use that just to encourage exploration again, encourage you to actually look around in the world and not just follow a specific dot on the UI.
That's always cool.
We suffered our first death today. Storm came out of nowhere.
And so, yeah, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, one of the things, even in this opening area, which is desolate and people are missing and they obviously something terrible has happened here, we filled it with lore, right? And I think that's one of the things, really done a lot of world building this so that you really get a sense of what happened to these people when you're in here. There's a great little thing that happens later on. I don't know if we'll see it today, but where you can actually sort of use your scanner to sort of scan the past and sort of bring up recordings of what people were doing when they were still living here, and you can kind of learn about their plight as they were here, and then where some of the people ended up, and yeah, there's the scanner. It's a good example of it. So you'll notice right there at the bottom, you got 10 points. There's 3 different points that you can get when you scan something. So scanning actually is tied into our research and development. So basically, in order to craft something, what you want to do is have a blueprint, and those blueprints you can get from finishing a quest. You might just find it as loot. You could buy it at a store. But the other way you can do it is you can actually make those blueprints yourself. But in order to do that, you need research points. So as you go through and you scan things, you actually get research points that you can use to create blueprints.
That is cool.
And the reason there were 3 at the bottom is because there were 3 different tech tiers. There's the old Milky Way tech tier, so a lot of the guns and weapons that you're familiar with. Then there's the Helios cluster ones. But then there's a 3rd one, which we haven't quite got to yet, but it's the Remnant. And so you get to, and each of those has different perks and benefits as you follow those different paths if you want to examine them. And a lot of the, sort of best sort of crafting items that you want, you actually have to use this mechanic to do. Although you can still find those items in the world, or buy them if you want. But if you really want to have clear access to them, then you're gonna want to craft them. Oh, you went bye-bye. Did you guys see what that was? Show them again. Zoom in on that.
Blastos.
Blastos.
Yeah? Come on. A little nod to the. It's nice to know that Blastos can make it all the way to Andromeda, right?
They're like Twinkies.
That's right.
It's like the never-ending treat.
That's right.
It'll be around forever. Well, what I was going to ask was, you mentioned like the lore within the world. Like with the previous Mass Effect games, we had the lore to play off of with 2 and 3, playing off the first one, recreating an entire new galaxy's worth of information. Like how much work goes into something like that? I mean, it's been a while since we've seen a Mass Effect game.
Yeah, 5 years. 5 years worth of work. That's how long.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what is that like for you guys getting to, create an entire lore behind a game that could potentially, hopefully, see sequels in the future?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was one of the key things in going to Andromeda, I think, was, part of the magic of the first Mass Effect was there was no Mass Effect. We were inventing it as we went. And I think a lot of the magic came from us being able to look forward and just imagine what would be possible. And obviously part of that was we were gonna commit to a trilogy. So as we did 2 and 3, we were a bit more on the rails. We were still a lot of imagining and reacting to the fans and things like that in 2 and 3. But this was our opportunity to really start over. So, first things first, we carried over as much of the lore as we could that made sense into Andromeda. But then we just started building on top of that. And I think that freedom for the developers and for writers and the world builders is part of what will make Andromeda feel very fresh and new, right?
That means look at this place. It's a wasteland.
The radiation in Eos's atmosphere makes it difficult to cultivate life.
Like even looking like in the horizon, you just see how big this world is. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
amazing.
We'll get you to a vantage point later where you can see it even better.
Nice.
They're actually talking about one of the new important mechanics. They're talking about radiation. So a lot of the worlds that you go to will have hazards on them. Now some of them, like this planet, has a global hazard, and there's sort of a perimeter around this area that's set up to keep it safe. We don't want to make it too difficult for the player right off the bat. But as you explore out on this planet, it's radiation. And what happens is you have a life support, and whether you're in the Nomad or you're out on your own, that life support will slowly go down. So you need to find safe zones in order to recharge your life support.
Even if you're in the Nomad?
Even if you're in the Nomad. It goes down slower if you're in the Nomad. It provides an extra layer. But if the Nomad's life support runs out, it blows up and you die, and that's terrible. So you don't want that to ever happen. But we also have localized hazards. So a lot of times you'll be going through and maybe there's just like a pool of acid or something like that, and that'll take your life support down like almost immediately. So just another sort of sense of survival out there, and just try to keep you aware that the world isn't necessarily a friendly place, or these worlds aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, introducing something like the jump pack,
Yeah.
you know, it's like that adds a level of verticality that wasn't really in previous Mass Effect games before.
Yeah.
How does that change up the way you have to approach combat?
Oh, combat, level design, everything. Like it really changed all of those things. Even just the metrics for everything, right? Because all of a sudden, if you don't want a player to be able to get somewhere, well, that's a lot different than in the past.
I can
right?
hit this rock if I jump here and jump over here and jetpack over there. I can make it.
And honestly, I can't wait. I mean, we do as much testing as we can, but the players are going to get to places we didn't even know were possible, I'm sure, with this stuff, which is awesome. That's fun. We'll wait and see what happens with that. But, I think, when you look at all of the locomotion that we have, the boosts and the jumps, it makes combat feel much more fluid and dynamic than we've ever had before. And, of course, we've also got the procedural cover system. So pretty much anything that's out there you can take cover behind, and it's not modal, so you just slide into it and slide out of it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, I find. Most people, especially if they're really familiar with the trilogy.
That snap cover.
Yeah, they're just like, wait, this doesn't work the way I thought. But the nice thing is, like, this is for me, and I've seen other people do this. When you first start playing, you stick to cover quite a bit because, okay, I got to figure this out. But now you're not kind of stuck to it anymore. And as you get a bit better, you find yourself just kind of running into combats and doing crazy stuff, and not using the cover that much, and then you up it to hardcore insanity, and you're back in cover again.
See, now I'm really curious about like the enemies. Like, we don't want to spoil it, but like, I'm hoping that something will pop out so we can see some action.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be some action here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're taking it slow. We're taking it slow so we can look around and take a look at some of the stuff here. But
I do like there's so much you can explore in here, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and we're actually kind of just getting the critical path elements of this out of the way. But all the buildings in there are explorable, although some of them need the power to come on before you can actually explore them. Are you run up there? I like what happens when you run up here.
Or really, Ryder.
You got Callow, our pilot, saying, "What are you doing running on my ship?"
You guys, taking pride in his ship.
Yeah,
anybody just walking all over his ship.
Yep.
Just coming out here.
And this is the first sort of open world that you get to land on, and so we do gate things a little bit with this. We want to teach you a few things on it, but all the other worlds that you land on, you really are. It is just free form. Like you land, just go do what you want if you want. Yeah.
It's like, look, we did land. There's the ship.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's parked right there out in front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys want to see a little bit of combat? Mike's going to show us a bit here.
All right, here we go.
Here we
Get down
go.
to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Of course, you can still give your squad commands like you could
Okay.
before. Move them in different locations. You can, with the left and right D-pad, you can send them individually, or if you push up on the D-pad, you send them both at the same time, either to a position or to attack. And hopefully we'll see some of Cora's moves. She's got some cool moves. These dropships are a real pain in the butt. You'll see them all throughout the game. Now, so these guys, these are the Ket. One of the interesting things is that while we find them here in Andromeda, they're not actually native to this area. So that's one of the little mysteries that we find, that they're here as invaders themselves.
Where are they from?
Where are they from? Exactly.
Where did they come from?
Exactly. Yeah, and you see a lot of the, he's got a concussive shot there. You see a lot more physics reactivity on the characters, and that just ties in well. When we move a little bit further in to the game, and you've got 3 powers at once. You're using a lot of biotics. Guys are flying in every which direction.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. And you can see he's nailing them with the headshots there. Liam's down. So this is similar to our multiplayer before.
What are you doing, bro? Come on.
I know.
It's their first battle. He's like, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Ryder, help.
Yeah. Again, that's why you're the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You gotta.
That's why maybe if he was wearing his helmet,
True.
Would have been a little
Exactly.
safe.
Exactly.
Should have thought of
think
that.
about these things when
That's
you're going
right.
into battle. Like, maybe I should throw this on as just a little extra protector.
Yeah.
Maybe just like a helmet.
So yeah, basically what we've learned so far, as far from a story perspective, is that this guy had shut down the power. This guy we're about to meet here.
Sure, use the power relay. Hell, take whatever you like.
but he was turning off the power so he wouldn't draw the Ket, who are quite prolific on this planet.
Hurrah! Shuttles aren't fun in these winds. You need wheels. I think they kept a little something in storage.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take another look around the outpost.
Just finding it won't be enough. Hope you're smarter than we were. We're heading to our shuttle. Keep this up. Maybe next time we'll find more than just salvage around here.
Giving them
Don't
hope.
suppose you've got anything we can
One
use?
Pathfinder at a time.
That's right.
Oh.
And so he's actually a store. So every once in a while, scattered throughout the world, so you can find stores and talk to people, trade things.
Nice.
One of the interesting things we've done is that he was mentioning salvage. So obviously, you go to a new galaxy, credits don't mean that much, except for maybe the people that are on the Nexus and stuff like that. So really, what most of the funds that you find are by finding salvage, and then whenever you get to a store, you can actually just trade that salvage in. Just it's a bit more of an in fiction, like we wouldn't all be running around finding credits everywhere. So.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
These people just keep leaving all their money all over the place. So nice of you.
It's funny how the Ket have the exact same currency system as we do. Yeah, we wanted to avoid things like that.
Yeah.
So Mike's now going to go see what it takes to find our Nomad. What was one of the other new things you saw there? That was actually some loot. Enemies now drop loot.
Okay.
So it's actually as you go throughout, a lot of the combats and stuff like that. A lot of times it's actually important to find stuff as you're going. One of the things we've done with our loadout system is, if you find something you want to equip it, you equip it when you find it, right? So it's important that you pay attention when your loot comes up, so you know to equip it then. Yep.
There's obviously there's going to be a way to equip it later on.
Oh yeah.
You'd be like, you got this sweet weapon. Did you equip it? Nope, it's gone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's that we really believe in consequence in the Mass Effect. You have a decision to make.
With one chance.
That's right.
Bro.
There's
Do you
one
take
chance.
this
No.
one or this one?
No. Okay, let's clear that up. No. So like you saw when you landed, you can change your loadout. There's a place on the Tempest itself where you can do your loadouts whenever you want.
Okay.
And in about 3 or 4 minutes here, we're going to show you forward stations, which is another place on planets. When you're out here, you can change your loadout as well.
Go slow.
For sure. We'll follow your lead.
A warning. Radiation levels beyond the perimeter of Site 1 are well above acceptable limits. You cannot proceed without additional protection.
So if that structure could make a difference here, well, that would be really good.
Sounds like it would be.
We better find that vehicle Clancy mentioned.
All right, now let's find the Nomad.
Yeah. Okay.
Viability.
Now the power is restored,
So
we can
viability is one of the key mechanics when you're going to all these planets. So we have two types of viability. We have what we call AVP, which is Andromeda viability. And so almost anything you do, whether
I thought it was
it's
Aliens versus Predator for a second. I'm like, what?
I know.
Crossover.
I know. I keep telling people it was the least worst 3-letter acronym we came up with. There was a lot of really bad ones, but and in the end, that's one we went with. But so anything you do, whether it's critical path story moments, whether it's out here exploring, anything like that will give you AVP over time. And as you do that, you actually you unlock the ability to sort of wake up people from cryosleep. And that starts to populate the Nexus, but it also gives you perks as you do it. So you get to choose: do I want to wake up military people? Do I want to wake up scientific people? Do I want to wake up more trades-oriented people? And you can choose perks in that. So, and it kind of happens on a linear scale as you go throughout the game as you're doing that. So that's AVP. But then each planet itself also has its own viability that you're trying to do, and that's important because until a planet reaches a certain viability level, you can't do much on it. So you couldn't, for instance, put down an outpost on it. But that is one of the things that eventually, if we get the viability high enough here on EOS, we can bring down an outpost, a whole new little area with new quests and new people in it, stores and other things that you can do. And it actually starts to change the way the world appears and what you can do on it.
So it adds even more to a world that you potentially already cleared out.
That's right. Yep, exactly. And a lot of times also just takes you out, the quest will take you out to places where you haven't necessarily gone before. Right?
This
Nice.
must be what Clancy
More of a reason to explore more of the planet.
Yep.
from a forward station.
And obviously, besides sort of like the mission stuff and the stuff that you're sent out to do, there's more to find and discover when you're searching around these planets.
Oh, totally. I mean, one of the really important things is, this is your first one, so again, there's a lot of tutorial here, and this one's very much framed around the sort of idea of humanity's first settlement. But the other worlds you go to, many of them are alien worlds, and there's already either aliens there or other people situated there. They all have their own story and their own unique narrative, and a lot of them even have like a main quest line that goes through them. Actually, all of them have a main quest line that goes through them with usually an important decision. So a lot of times you can just say, you know what, tonight I'm going to do this planet, and actually maybe tonight's aggressive. It might be today and tomorrow I'm going to do this planet. But you can actually follow the story throughout and just get lost in that one world and enjoy it, and just focus on everything's there. And all the stories interwoven, unlike Mass Effect 1, where the worlds were beautiful, but they were a bit barren. We've really threaded a lot of content throughout these, and I think that's actually an important point, which is, the game isn't just bigger, from a footprint size. We've actually put a lot of content in here. I was looking at the stats actually recently for Mass Effect 3. I think we had something like 670 unique characters, that would speak to you. In Mass Effect 3, we've got over 1,200 in this one. And when you look at the dialogue options, we're basically the equivalent of Mass Effect 2 and 3 put together.
Wow.
Right?
That is
so
amazing.
So it's not just about, hey, we created these big, vast open areas. We actually populated it with story as well and narrative.
That's so cool.
So to get to the Nomad, we had to call down a forward station because we have no codes. So forward stations, Mac, I don't know if you want to talk about this.
Forward station deployment.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So these things are all sort of hovering in orbit, waiting for you to discover locations as you go through the world, and they're really critical, because one of the things you'll notice when you're in them, we're already safe here, but that little ring there, if it was in a hazard zone, that would protect you and allow your life support to recharge as well for you and the Normandy, or you and the Nomad. So that would allow you to sort of come in here and find a little bit of a safe zone. If you lose the Nomad or you're far away from it, you can also call the Nomad to you. It also replenishes your stores, your health, and your ammo.
Nice.
But then it's also got, I love these, they've got these little sort of terminals that you can access. And as you find more of them, it tells you a kind of ongoing sort of story of what you're discovering about the world, usually from like a geological or weather perspective sort of thing of what you're discovering there. And then, of course, it'll also let you change your loadout, which is what we were talking about before. So if Mike wanted to change his loadout here, he could do it. He could also change who's with him. It's like, oh no, I actually want to take Vetra with me now. Okay. You can change it right here.
Cool. Awesome.
And one of the things that we just saw, hopefully we can touch back on it after.
Yeah, I was wondering what was in there.
Oh, what's in there? Oh, there it is.
Nice, nice.
Nice little reveal.
Skirt.
Six-wheel Nomad. And this thing is a lot of fun to drive. Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just talking about the upgrades for your character.
Right.
It looked, to the skill set thing.
Yep. So I think it's really important, and we've talked about this before, but this is probably one of the biggest changes to the way sort of you level up your characters. In the past, you would have chosen, I want to be a Vanguard right at the beginning.
I see branches.
I see that.
That's right. Or I want to be a soldier, right? In this game, all of the powers are available to everybody at any time. So you just choose, and then what you do afterwards is, after you've chosen which powers you want, we have what we call profiles, and the profiles roughly map to those different classes, but they're more about giving you perks based off of your choices as opposed to predefining which path you should take, right? So in this case, Mike's going to add Incinerate, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, because lighting things on fire.
That's right.
Always a smart idea.
Fun. True. Yep. True. And when he confirms it, there you go. So you can see he's still got the soldier. Most of his points right now are in combat, so the soldier profile is the one that's available to him. But if he were to put more points into tech skills, then we'd start to see other profiles become available. If you put them, if you want to go into the biotic skills, his Vanguard profile will come up.
Can you just do that at any time, or do you have to do a certain thing before you can?
No, as long as you have 3 skill points. So here's the Infiltrator, for example. If I did 3 in combat, 3 in soldier rather than 3 in tech.
Yep.
Oh, it's got a little unlock thing at the okay.
Yeah. And what'll happen is it'll actually tell you when you have new skills unlocked, and then as you unlock skills, it'll tell you when you get new profiles unlocked as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's much more free form, and it's fun. I mean, watching people play it. Some people are of the mind that they choose 3 powers and they just master those 3 powers, and that's all they do. But there's other people who are just like, no, I'm all over the map. I want to try all these different things.
Yeah.
And you can do that if you want. We even the Explorer profile is kind of designed for those people. It's like if you just have a little bit in everything, you still get your perks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I remember the first Mass Effect game there was a lot of choices you could make and which you wanted to upgrade. And then by the third one, they kind of like, we're just going to narrow it down to sort of this.
Yeah.
And maybe you can open up something else. But this is just like, here's everything.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go. That's right.
Choose your path, Pathfinder.
That's right. Exactly. And there are certain skills that aren't available until you put certain amount of points into other things. So that not everything's there, but you can preview it and see what's there.
Okay.
So you can kind of get a sense of which path you might want to head down. Yeah.
So I think I found a crafting area that could do research and development.
Crafting?
Yeah, so we talked about that before.
Take some salvage.
Yep.
Is there an item limit? First thing.
There is you have an item limit. You can see there, 9 out of 50.
Oh, okay.
See it at the top left there. So you start with that. Remember I mentioned the cryopod perks earlier. So waking people up, your AVP. One of the perks you can do there is to increase your item limit if you want to increase that. Things like salvage credits, some of the sort of materials, they don't take up room.
Oh, do they stack on top of each other? So
Yep,
it's like,
they stack on each other, but they also don't take up room at all. Like we just say they don't. But it's more things like things that you could buy and sell at a store, like your weapons, your armor, blueprints, things like that. So on the left side, this is what we were talking about before. If you want to go in there, Mike, this is the research side of things. So if you see at the top there, there's 3 different tech tiers. We're in the Andromeda one, then we went to the Helios one, and then there's a mysterious third one, which isn't available yet because we're about to learn about that sooner. You can see that Mike's already scanned enough sort of Milky Way things that he has 50 points. There's probably not much you can do with 50 points at this point. But once you get enough of those, you can go in. Let's say you want to build one of those, clicks on it, and you'll see how many tiers there are of this. So if you want to pick one, there you go.
Oh, wow.
There's actually five tiers. So the weapons actually evolve over time. So does the gear. It evolves over time. So it kind of keeps pace with your progression as you go. But like I said, he doesn't really have enough points in here. And this is just to build a blueprint for sort of a special item. If he wanted to actually just build something and craft something right now, what we could do is, you're going to do an augment. Nice.
Yeah, I'll research an augment here.
Good for you.
Aerial lubrication. Very highly touted in the world of Andromeda.
The cool thing about augments actually are, you remember mods from the trilogy, like certain weapons and armor allow you to put mods in them so you can take in and out, and they just give it an extra bonus. An augment is something that you can put in only when you craft it that one time, but usually they're quite powerful. So some of them will, like one of my favorites is you can basically turn all your projectiles into heat-seeking plasma. So imagine the sniper rifle that always hits. Right, but you can. but here is
check,
where
please.
Yes, but here is where the choice comes in. Is that when you craft that augment, it gives you one version of it, and it gives you the ability to now find that augmentation in the world, but you can never craft it again. So you want to make sure you use it, appropriately.
So you can't just have heat-seeking everything.
And do I want to put it on my level 1 or my level 2 pistol, or do I want to save this augment maybe and put it on a level 5 later on? I don't know. Right. So
now you guys are getting tricky.
Yeah, we're getting
I was like, I'm going to have heat-seeking level 1 sniper rifles that are just never going to miss.
That's right.
Let me get that level 5. It's like, can't heat-seek.
So on the right side here, once you get into the development side, these are all the blueprints that you either have or could have in the future, and some of the ones that you can build. So I think it looks like you've got about 4 that you could probably build right now, or 6 on the left-hand side there. So those are the ones that we actually have enough materials for, and this is where materials become important. So if you see at the bottom there, it calls out the different materials you need. If you hit triangle there, or there, it'll actually give you a little bit more detail on the weapon that you're going to check out if you want. Or, sorry, Y, yep. But yeah, and then when he goes to create it, he can actually rename it.
What?
And this is really helpful if you put an augment in it, I find. Anyway, because I want to go, well, this is my heat-seeking plasma-matic.
It's my face melter sniper rifle.
Right. Or you could give it something more creative than I just did. Right? But,
I thought face melter was pretty awesome.
Yep.
So I just crafted the Manic then.
There you go. And you got skills and you just leveled up, so he's actually going to be able to skill up here if he wants.
Just like that. Boom.
And maybe we'll open up I bet you if you do this, you'll be able to open up a new profile as well, which would be great.
Oh, so close.
Oh, you should have enough. It should be 3 points in each. Let's see, back out. Yes. Boom.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Infiltrator unlocked. Right? So now if he goes over, and you can see the difference between the combat and the soldier and the infiltrator perk there, right?
Weapon accuracy, weapon stability, yes.
Yeah. Now one of the other interesting wings in here, it won't show off very well at the opening of the game here, but if you bring out if you go back into that, Mike, we can show them how you can set up favorites, right? So if you go in here, if you just hit the main menu there, you'll go into favorites. So what you can do is you can actually take your 3 current powers and your current profile that you've got and map them to a favorite, right? And you can do that up to 4 times throughout there. So right now that's his current one. And then when you're playing the game, when you just quickly tap to bring up your weapon wheel. One more tap, you can actually see your favorites switch. So like while you're in the middle of a fight, you're like, okay, this is my infiltrator sniper profile. I want it, but you realize, oh no, what I really want is my Vanguard profile for this fight, right? Or for this area that I'm in. You just swap it, just right on the fly.
Nice.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So it's like you have multiple riders with you at a time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, the fun thing is the narrative sort of conceit for all of this, like it's important to us that these things are internally consistent, is that you have Sam, you have this AI who is sort of connected to you and helping you sort of manage all of these different profiles. And there's a little bit of a story about how they can do that. Technically, a Sam shouldn't be able to do that to you, but they can, so that's an interesting storyline that people should follow when they get in there.
All these secrets. So many secrets.
So many secrets.
So little time until we can discover them.
And so you see as he charged there, he's turning invisible. That's actually just a nice little visual perk that you get from choosing the infiltrator profile.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
that's why I wasn't happening before. Okay.
Yep, that's
cool.
right. Yeah. So here, we can change our weapon. He just made a new Matic. Bam. You can see the mods. I don't know if you have any mods. No, you probably don't have any mods. But you could put a mod in there if you wanted to.
Matt made the Matic. Not surprised.
And then we could also change out our characters here, just to keep it fresh. The nice thing is, you probably heard them bantering back and forth. Depending on which pair you bring, they always have different things to say.
Yeah.
Some of it is kind of what we call global, in the sense that throughout the course of the game they kind of develop a relationship, and some of it's more contextual. So they'll be talking about this planet specifically or where we are at. But depending on who you bring, it's always a little bit different, and it's fun because whether you're out, walking, like this, or if you get the Nomad, they kind of talk away at you in the backseat, comment on your driving skills, things like that.
Is there going to be, obviously everybody loves them some alien relationships.
True.
Alien relationships,
Are you going to be able to further your relationships with each individual member of your crew?
Yeah, so everyone that's on the Tempest, whether they're a squad mate that goes with you on missions or whether the crew, they all have very involved relationship arcs. I think I mentioned it somewhere recently, and someone's been quoting it back to me, but it's true, which is our lightest squad mate, so least amount of dialogue lines in Andromeda is larger by dialogue line count than our largest was in Mass Effect 3, right? So we've kind of doubled down on that. And part of that's just the length of the game and how much you're in there and the amount of things that we want, the world to seem reactive to.
So now I see the radiation here happening.
See?
Over
Now,
here.
yes,
Okay.
that's a good example. So as he comes out of here, so this area is a safe zone. There's different planets, like on, we have one called Eladin. It's actually shadow keeps you safe because there's so much heat there. Right, so when you go in the shadow, you're safe. When you're out in the open, you're more exposed, and it starts to your life support starts to go down. And if he were to get out of the vehicle, his life support will go down even faster.
Wow.
So, yep.
So,
But it's not punishing. We're not unless there's a specific zone that we're trying to gate you in for a while.
Yeah.
Generally, it's not something that you have to constantly be checking on, but it is a little tension that you have to kind of be paying attention to, and also a nice reminder that these worlds are very hostile and dangerous.
Yeah, true.
And one of the things I don't really remember the previous Mass Effect games tampering with was sort of elemental effects, like weather effects. I mean, I know there were, but you mentioned like having to stay in the shadows because it's too hot. Are you guys going to be doing that a lot within the game? Like, you're going to be playing with different environments and different sort of elements? And
Yeah, we try to really make, like, another example is Vold, which some few people have seen. It's blizzards and cold spots and things like that.
So Vold is cold.
Vold is cold. That's how you remember it. It's
Nice.
very easy.
Okay.
EOS doesn't rhyme with radiation, but we'll figure that one out. But yeah, I mean, we want each of the worlds to sort of feel like it has its own personality as well. That was one of the things I often asked early on when we were developing these, is what is the story of this world? I want to know what its story is. Like, even before we talk about who lives there and everything, like, what's the story of the world and why is it the way it is? Keep in mind that narratively speaking, all the planets that we're going to travel to, including this one, were identified as these golden worlds from afar, like, from the Milky Way.
Sure.
And when they got here, they went, this isn't what we thought. So something has clearly gone on here, and it might have something to do with these giant, alien structures we've got here. But, it's more interesting to sort of get there and obviously find you have to do something to make these places livable, as opposed to, oh, welcome to Hawaii, I guess your job is done.
Yeah, true.
so, let's discuss the Nomad a little bit.
Yeah.
Got a new vehicle?
Yeah, Mike was...
Six-wheel drive?
Yep, Mike was just driving it up there, and you noticed that it was kind of slipping. It wasn't getting traction as he was going up there. You can actually go into a six-wheel drive mode, which gives you much more traction. One of the other nice things is that you can actually upgrade the Nomad over time. So if you want to improve the speed, because the sort of 6-wheel drive mode is a little bit slower, I find it's great if you're on ice or if you're trying to not fall off a giant precipice somewhere or something like that. It's good for that, not just going up hills. But if you want to be able to, get it going so it's a little bit faster later on, you can do that. You can also increase just the overall durability of it as you go. And it's also got a shield that you can put around it, so when you get out of it, it actually kind of shields you a little bit. Nice. So because a lot of times you'll use it. I mean, I do. I kind of drive up to a fight, hop out, and actually use it as cover, right? So
here's an example of the steepness of a hill I wouldn't be able to get up just on 4-wheel drive. But if I slam it into 6-wheel drive there, it gives me the traction I need to get up.
Instant. Yeah,
we even a space Hummer.
Yeah, exactly. And we even have a fun one which I like. It's called like an agility mode that you add in later. Think of it like a sport mode. It basically turns off all the things that help you drive it, so you can do a lot more donuts and goof around with it if you want. Originally, we kind of had that as the default, but then we found people were just crashing all over the place. So, we're gonna go in here, and you talked about relationships. You talked about characters. Being that this is sort of one of the first areas. We're actually going to find someone who's already on this planet, who's kind of important to us. You might recognize. I think Mike's got to do a little bit of exploration first. So yeah.
I'm picking up initiative tech nearby from above us.
There, look, up near that scaffolding.
So the scanner actually can help you also find things when you're in these sort of alien areas. You see it's highlighted here, but there's also sort of like a little indicator of what we're trying to find, right? And as he scrolls around. So, you could be the kind of player who's like, I'm just going to find it on my own. Yeah. But if you want that extra hint, pull out the scanner, see what's around you. And then it's up to you to figure, okay, well, now, how do I get up there? Being that this is the first one, this one's easier. But some of these areas get much more puzzle-oriented later on. In fact, we've shown images of the remnant vaults before, and a lot of those involve a lot of puzzle solving, environmental sort of challenges as you're going in there, and your ability, sort of what we call interface with this remnant technology, is critical to that. As you can see, again, this is something our level designers had a lot of fun with, right? Because in the past, we never would have put something up here for you to find. It would have just been visual eye candy. But now, if you can get to it, it should be part of the story. It should be part of the game, right?
I love that.
And you can see part of the view out there. I don't know if Mike you can see how vast the world is.
Jeez,
can I go all the way down there?
Yep.
Okay.
You can drive all the way around that lake, and there's stuff even beyond that lake. This level is very big.
So that's what a lot of people do. They're like, can I hit the top of that mountain? Can I drive to the top of that?
Yep, you can. Yeah, we haven't even got to the area. I mentioned the outpost earlier. We haven't even got near the area where you can put the outpost down eventually. Here we go.
Connection. I apologize for any discomfort. The system seems unstable.
This would happen when my dad tried doing this?
Your father interfaced directly with the atmosphere processor. That proved extremely hazardous. These structures could reveal its control center. System remains unstable. Doubling our power input might accelerate the process.
I'll give it a shot.
Here we go.
Do it, Ryder.
Here we go. Who could it be?
Back up, literally.
Oh, snap.
Oh boy.
Whoa, easy. You've come this far. Just let it ride. I've been studying this tech for months. I don't know how you activated those glyphs, but you have to let them cycle through their channels.
Our intros from before. We call them narrative actions now.
Trust me, okay?
You didn't take it this time, but you can if you want. But who would want to push her off?
I know,
right?
I know. Who am I? I mean, it's obvious who you are. I saw the ship swoop in. You're a Pathfinder. I was beginning to think the initiative just made you guys up so the rest of us wouldn't lose hope, but you're for real, huh?
You're damn right.
Yeah.
That's how it goes down.
Yep.
Are you for real? You were going to tell me who you are.
I might just be the solution to all your problems.
Oh, maybe.
Wow,
Looks like maybe you did
look
something.
at that.
Oh, yes.
System has stabilized.
So you can
I'm
see,
establishing a connection.
There are these vast areas, there's lots of things to explore, but the storytelling is still critical throughout, right?
Crap.
We want to have these moments where character focused, help move things along, right?
What are they?
Later, just take them out.
Uh-oh.
Keep targeting that one.
This is just a taste.
I know.
A taste.
We haven't even
Yeah.
gotten into
This-
the whole thing yet.
Oh no, like you are, well, I mean, when he finishes his combat, we'll pull up the pull up the map. We'll look at the viability. He's done a few things on this planet, but you'll notice that we're not very far along.
And this is only like the first like planet too, so there's like so much. I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
excited.
And then there's the whole critical path. Plus we have sort of hubs that you can, story hubs that you can go to, and then the loyalty missions as well, right?
Yeah.
And as much as possible, those are all interwoven into these planets or near them. Sometimes you're going to a moon and.
My first tangle with the remnant was a lot messier.
There she is.
These
remnants.
The Observer and Assembler bots. They're all the remnants of something much bigger.
So there you go.
But that's